Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Assistant Professor, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to discuss about the installation of database software. Installation of database software. So in the previous session, we have discussed about the different types of database softwares designed and developed by the companies and versions of the database software of MySQL, as well as what are the different types of applications that we are going to use the database for the applications. So now in this session we are going to discuss the installation of database software. So how we are going to install the database software. So see here the installation procedure of MySQL 5.5. So MySQL is one of the database software and which we are going to use for the different types of applications. So how we are going to install the procedure. So the procedure of installation and configuration is very important. So before going to know the steps of installation, so how we are going to take the steps, to install all this software. We'll see. So to install a MySQL database software, so before it is a open source software. You can download it from www.mysql.com/downloads. You can see the database software MySQL is in downloads of mysql.com website and download MySQL community server. So choose your appropriate operating system version. So operating system version. So as shown in the below. So you can see here the different types of, you can select the platform of operating system which you are having operating system platform. Is it Windows or is it Linux or is it Red Hat or is it Linux generic? Is it Sun Solaris? Is it Mac or OS? Is it, you can see any of the operating system. You can select the operating system which you are going to install your MySQL. Select that one of the any of the Windows or Linux and choose the download option as a archive file or installer file. You can select that one and you can download any of the file. You can download any of the file based on your requirement, based on your system requirements. So definitely we have to analyze the requirements, hardware requirements or software requirements before downloading and installing MySQL software. Before downloading and installing MySQL software, we have to check whether the hardware requirements are sufficient or not, software requirements are also sufficient or not. So both hardware and software requirements are sufficient, then you can able to download the software and install that one. So in the step 1, if you don't have any setup file or installer file, you can go to the website and you can find the application installer file, download it. After downloading it, it is having like a application installer file. Double click on that one. So you will get this window. Welcome to the MySQL Server 5.5 setup wizard. So see here, the setup wizard will install MySQL Server 5.5 on your computer. So click next to continue or cancel the exit setup wizard. So it is asking you to, I am launching the SQL Server 5.5 setup wizard. If you want to perform the steps, you can click on the next. If you want to cancel the setup, you can cancel the button. So like the way it is asking you to proceed the next steps. So click on the next and it is asking you to choose setup file. Choose setup. So you want to install in the typical way, you want to install in the custom way, or you want to install in the complete way. So what is the difference between typical and custom and complete? So it installs, the typical installs the most common program features and recommended for most of the users. Some of the users may not be accessing these applications. And custom installation, we can see, allows users to choose which program features will be installed and where they will be installed for advanced user. So if you want to give the access of this application to the specific users or not specific users, you can use this custom setup. And complete, all program features will be installed requires the most disk space. So the complete is nothing but it is not going to ask, or it is not going to recommend it for some program features or some users. It is taking all the features and it is taking for all the complete users. So after selecting a complete or typical or custom anything, you can click on the next. You can click on the next. So after clicking the next option, what you will get, see here. So it is asking you to change the default paths that you are having. Default paths, those are all optional actually. So if you want to make change, you can do change, or if you don't want to make change, you don't want to change. So you can see the default path selected by the MySQL. So while it is installing, it is always taking the default browsing files, default browsing locations, default browsing paths. I just want to say that only the thing is what where I need to install. I just added. I just added, or I just modified. So the by default path it is taking as a C folder program files. MySQL is one created folder with the help of software, and MySQL Server 5.5. So there the file is going to be stored. The installation file is to be going to be stored there. So after that I have changed the path to see MySQL to keep it simple. If you want to keep it simple, rather than this all the big path, you can make it simple. But make sure that you change it both for MySQL server and the server data files. After that, next, click on next. After selecting the path, you can click on the next to perform the next step. So after clicking on the next, it is going to ready to install MySQL Server 5.5. So click install to the installing process. So click back to review or changes any of your installation settings. Click cancel to exit the wizard. So if you have all the previous features has to be okay, then you can proceed with the install step. You can proceed with the install step. Or else if you want to do changes anything in the previous steps, go back, click on back to the modify the changes. Click on back to the modify to the changes. So I just go for click on installing, click on installing. So the next step will be going like this. So it is enterprise edition will be started to installing. So click on next. The next, and now you should see complete MySQL Server 5.5 setup wizard window. So keep the launch the MySQL installation configuration wizard button checked as shown in below. So after clicking the next option, it is going to be completed the MySQL Server 5.5 setup wizard. So click the finish button to exit the setup wizard. So launch the MySQL instance configuration wizard. After that, clicking on finish. So this is the way you can install your MySQL 5.5 setup file. So the installation is very easy, but only the configuration is to be difficult. So in the configuration, we have to set up all the repository to the database and the port number and MySQL instance file and everything we have to create for the configurations. Everything we have to create for the configurations. So, but installation purpose, you can say that it is simple. So after installation completed, after installation and the configuration is to be completed, so how you are going to open the MySQL command line client? So it is going to be stored in the form of MySQL 5.5 command line client. It is available in the start menu. It is available in the start menu. So you can click on that MySQL command line client. While you can configure the MySQL server, it is asking you to enter the port number. It is asking you to enter the password. It is asking you to keep the sourcing files, security settings applied, and existing files to be configured, and everything it is going to check. It is going to be checked. So after checking all the files, after checking all the steps only, it is going to be installed on your system perfectly. Without those all the features has to be not installed, the application software, the MySQL software is not installed properly. So for that, so you can take the steps easy to is one and another to be very careful way. So after installation done, it is asking you to enter the password to open the MySQL 5.5 command line client. So how to open that one? So you can click on the start menu. You can type MySQL. If I type MySQL, it is automatically open the command prompt window. It is going to show you to open this MySQL command line client. So after clicking on that one, it is asking you to enter the password. It is opening like this window. It is opening like this window, and it is asking you to enter the password. It is asking you to enter the password. We can give the password at the time of configuration process. After giving the port number, after giving the MySQL instance file, you can give the password also. So there you can enter the password, and you can confirm the password also. So that confirmed password you have to type here. So enter password. I can enter the password as a system or as a admin or as anything. So I just type that one and I have opened. So once I provided the password, I was able to see the below screen. That is what it displays all the welcome to the MySQL monitor. MySQL monitors commands ends with semicolon or slash g, and your MySQL connection ID is 2. And that means after opening this MySQL command line client, it is showing that all the information about this MySQL command line client. It is going to show you all the information about MySQL command line client. So what does it actually contains? So it contains what password it contains. It contains what connection ID contains, and it contains what server version 5.5.16, and the MySQL community server, and copyrights as well as 2000, 2011, and Oracle and or its affiliates. So all rights is to be reserved. And also Oracle is registered trademark of all Oracle Corporation and or its affiliates. Other names may be trademarks of their respective owners. Other names may be trademarks of their respective owners. So like the way we can have all the information related to MySQL community monitor. So it displays connection IDs, it displays affiliates of Oracle, it displays the years, copyrights of the years 2000, 2011 and everything. So these are all the different information that available after opening this MySQL command line client. Opening of MySQL command line client. So here, after doing this all the things, it is asking you to type help or slash h. Type help or slash h for any type of help from this command line monitor. If you want to know something about anything, you can just type the help command on your command line client monitor. You can just simply type help. Then you will show all the list of information that you are going to helping you. So that is all about help command, help or slash h. So this slash c is to clear the current input statement. Slash c is the clear to current input statements. So whatever the current input statements are to be stored on command line client, that will be cleared with the help of this slash c. So this is the way you can understand all the content that will be displayed after opening this MySQL command line monitor. So this is the way you can install and configure and opening the MySQL command line client. After opening this one, what you will get here? You will get all the list of information about the connection ID, about the copyrights, about the affiliates, about the help that you want to choose from this Oracle, choose from this command line client. So whatever the help you want to know about some commands or something, you just type help command or slash h, so that it will let you know something about this all the commands. Right. So this is the way you can install and configure and opening the MySQL command line client. So this is all about MySQL 5.5 installation and configuration process. Some important commands here. After opening this command line client. So first of all, what we need to do and we are going to know something about them. So we have to see some databases that were already existed from the command line client, and what are the tables that were existed from this command line client, and how we are going to create the databases, how we are going to see the list of tables available in the database. These are all we are going to know. So these are all some important commands. So important commands. So that important commands is what? Show databases. If you type a show as a predefined command and databases as a name, show space databases, if you type that one on the command line client, what you will get? You will get the list of databases, available with the help of that MySQL command line monitor. MySQL command line monitor. With the help of this show databases, it will display the list of databases that were available in the command line client. And second one is what? Use the database. So to creating the database, to creating the tables, we are going to uh, use one database. To creating the different types of tables, different types of objects, we have to use one database. We have to create one database. So to creating the database, we can use the command like what? A command to create database. So command to create database, create database underscore name, create database underscore name. So this is create command, main command, and database is database command, and database name is what you are going to creating the database, right? So that name. So this is the way you can create the database name. So this is the way you can see the list of databases available in the MySQL command line monitor. After displaying all the list of databases, you are going to create one different database with the help of create database name. Create database name. So after creating this database, you can use any of the database from all these created databases. From all these created databases, among these all the created databases, you can use any of the database one. You can use any of the database one. So if you are having like MySQL is one database, uh, IARE is one database, and cybersecurity is one database. So if you're having this all the database, you can use any of these all the database to creating tables. So you can use like use MySQL. So use MySQL means you are in the connection of MySQL database. So now you are in the MySQL database. You can create different types of tables and different types of objects. So now we have seen that how to see the list of databases, how to create the database, and how we are going to use the database. So after doing this all the commands on the database, now what we need to do? I just want to see the list of tables. The list of tables belongs to this database. I just want to display the list of tables related to this database. So this is MySQL is one database, but what the database actually contains. So we need to see. We can just type show tables from this database. Then the database will displays all the list of tables that were already existed in that database. So MySQL database can have some list of tables. So to display the list of tables, we have typed this show tables that will display all the list of tables that were available in the MySQL database. And next, we have to see any table. We have to see any table information. We just type DESC, description or describe. You can say that DESC stands for description or describe. You can say space table name. So the tables contains where you are having MySQL database contains tables, right? So if you want to see the particular table description, particular table description, you can just type DGSC description space table name. Table name is from MySQL database. So MySQL databases contain tables. So type the table name, DGSC space table name. Then it will display the description of the table content actually. Description of the table content actually. Suppose I can say that, suppose I can have employee table. Employee table. So employee table contain employee number, employee name and employee salary. Employee number, employee name, employee salary. If I type DESC space, if I type DESC space EMP, DESC space EMP, it will display the list of contents, list of attributes that were available in the employee table. So what it will display actually? So E number, E name and salary. It displays all this like this. It is displaying like this. Displaying like this. That means it is going to be structure. It is going to show you the structure of the table, what actually contains. It is going to show you the structure of the table, what actually it contains. So employee number, employee name, salary. When you are inserting all the values in the table, then the values has to be displayed here. Values has to be displayed here. So the insert operation is performed after creating the table, or after description showing on the table. So this is the way you can see the structure of the table. This is the way you can see the structure of the table, and how to create the table actually. So how to create the table? So create table name, create table name, create table name. Along with that, you can see the values also: employee number, employee name, salary. So those are all, you can say that, attributes. Those are all, you can say that, attributes. So the table employee contains employee number, employee name, salary as attributes for this employee entity. So to storing all these records in the table, you can perform insert value. Okay. After performing inserting operation, so you can see the list of records. You can see the list of records from the table. You can type select star from table name. Select star from table name. Select star from particular table name. If you want to see the list of records that available in the table, is going to be shown with the help of select star from table name. Select star from employee. You can see the list of records that were available in the table. Can see with the help of this command. Can see with the help of this command. So after this, command to drop the database. So we are created the database, we are using the database, and I don't want to use the database, I just want to drop the database. That means permanently delete the database. So how you are going to delete the database or drop the database means, you can perform this operation: drop space database underscore name. So drop space database space, the database name is what? MySQL. Then you can type like drop space database name is what? MySQL. If you type this command, the database is going to be dropped from your MySQL command line client. It is going to be dropped from your MySQL command line client. So completely it will be dropped. That means it doesn't have any elements, rows or values or columns and anything. It doesn't have anything, and it is automatically recorded and automatically deleted all the records, values, attributes, tuples and everything with the help of table drop. The help of table drop or database drop. So everything will be dropped with the help of drop command. So these are all some important commands after launching the MySQL command line client. After launching this MySQL command line client, these are all very basic and important commands to know the. So what are those? Show databases, to see the list of databases available in the command line monitor. Second one is what? To creating the tables, to creating the database, create database name. To create database name. And to see the list of databases also, show databases, and use any of the database to creating your tables or creating your any database objects. So what is that command means? Use database name. Use database name. And to display the list of tables in the database, type show space tables. Show space tables. So it will display the list of tables that were available in the database. And next, if you see the description or describe of table, you can type DESC space table name. You can see the DESC space table name. And command to see the values from the table, displaying the values from the table. So values contents in the table. To display this all, we are going to use the select star from table name. Select star from table name. Then you will see the list of records available in the table. And the database dropping. So how we are going to drop the database? So drop space database name. So drop space database name. Then you can entirely delete the databases or entirely drop the database that contains tables, table entities, table attributes, and everything. Everything will be dropped by using this drop command. Everything will be dropped by using this drop command. So that's why I can say that these are all very important commands after opening the MySQL command line client. Right. And next, the main important is what is the purpose of database systems actually? What is the purpose of database systems? Why we are going to use the database systems to storing all the values and for all the different applications? What is the purpose actually? So we are having different types of scenarios, that is nothing but data redundancy and inconsistency. Data redundancy and inconsistency. So data redundancy is nothing but we can have multiple types of data, but all the types of data we can have more than one values of the same data. We can have more than one values of the same data. That means duplication of the data. There is nothing but multiple file formats and duplication of the information in different files. So there is no such constancy. There is no such consistency among these all the files. That's why we have to maintain the consistency. We have to maintain the inconsistency and the redundancy. For this purpose, we have to maintain the database. We have to maintain the database. And difficulty in accessing the data. Difficulty in accessing the data. So we are having different types of accessing methods. Data accessing method, file accessing methods. We can have sequential accessing methods, indirect accessing method, direct accessing methods. But difficulty we are facing that to accessing the data. Difficulty we are facing that to accessing the data. So for this purpose also we are going to manage the database. So difficulty in accessing the data, need to write a new program to carry out each new task. When we are creating a new task, we are going to write new program. But for every time we are going to do this, all the things means it is very difficulty. So the difficulty in accessing data is one of the purpose to managing this database software. And data isolation. And data isolation is nothing but we have to maintain unique data. We have to maintain the unique data or separate data from one to another. Separate data from one to another. So we have to maintain the each individual items to be separated. So suppose we'll take electronic gadgets are all one-sided, and textile items are one-sided, and kitchen items are one-sided. So data isolation to be maintained. So to maintain that data isolation, we have to use the database. We have to manage the database. This is the one purpose. And integrity problems. Integrity problems means when we are applying some constraints or conditions to the data, it has to be not modified. It has to be not modified. So that after adding constraints also, that will be maintained uniquely or integrity. That will be maintained as uniquely or integrity. So to avoid the problems also, we have to maintain this database. We have to maintain this database. So hard to add new constraints or change existing ones. Hard to add new constraints or change existing ones. We have to change from previous to new ones. We have to change We have to apply the constraints from existing to new ones to maintain the integrity of the data. Maintain the integrity of the data. And atomicity of updates. Atomicity of updates. So failures may leave database in an inconsistent state with partial updates carried out. So if we are having any updates, if you are not doing in the sense, that will not affect it to the current purpose. That will not affect it to the current purpose or future purpose. So automatically updates are taking easily, and it is updated very easily. So the taking that means carried out all the updates is to be very easy way to updating all the different scenarios. So example, suppose transfer of funds from one account to another account should either complete or not happen at all. If you are transferring some amount from one account to another account, it will be get reflected immediately. It will be get reflected immediately. So that is consistent. We can say that atomicity of updates. So we are having atomicity properties, acid properties. So that all the properties has to be satisfied. Because of this, we are managing all this database management system. And last, concurrent access anomalies. Concurrent access anomalies. So simultaneously we are performing some operations. Simultaneously we are performing some operations. So that operations has to be get affected at any time. That operations has to be get affected at any time. So suppose example, two people are reading a balance and updating it at the same time. So we can go for the ATM machines. We can the two people are going for two machines, and at the same time they are going to read the balance as well as updating at the same time. Updating the balance at the same time. So this is for this all purpose, like what, data redundancy and inconsistency purpose, difficulty of accessing the data purpose, data isolation purpose, and the integrity purpose, and the atomicity updates purpose, and the concurrent access anomaly purpose. We have to manage the database. We have to manage this all in the database. So for this, we are going to say that database is definitely required to doing this all the operations like data redundancy operations, accessing difficulty in the database, isolation of the database, integrity problem of the database, and atomicity updates, increasing our database, and concurrent access anomalies database. So to doing all these operations, definitely we are going to have the database software to managing all the different activities, right? So this is the way you can understand the purpose of the database. So these are all what we learned from this session. So what are these actually? So we have learned from installation of softwares. So how to do we install the procedure, install the MySQL software? Not only MySQL, you can take any of the database software. You can download it from the any of the source. You can download it from the any of the source and check whether the hardware requirements and software requirements are sufficient allocated or not. If it is not allocated, you can allocate them properly. After allocating them, after downloading them, you can install with the help of some steps. You can install the software with some steps like completing steps, typical steps, custom steps, and all these things. So choose the setup file path where you are going to store this file, and configuring the wizard, how to configure the MySQL and all. So this is the way you can install and configure the MySQL software. So not only MySQL, I'm going to say any of the database software, you can install and configure process is same. So in the installation, you can just double click on the setup file, click on the next, click on install, click on save, store your file where you are going to store your file. That is nothing but browsing your file, and click on next. After that, your installation is over. After installation is over, you have to do the configuration. Do the configuration is nothing but selecting the purpose of the database and giving the port number of your database, and it is asking you to enter the password or confirming the password and applying the security settings for the installation and everything. It is going to be shown in the configuration point of view. So after doing all this, your MySQL software is installed properly. If it is not installed properly, means you can get back to the original, you can get back to the source point of view and do some changes. If you are not, if you are installed perfectly, then you don't want to come back to changes any features. So after doing this all, it is asking you to enter password to open your command line client. Enter some password to open your command line client. So here you can enter the password, you can enter the password to launch the command line client. So after opening this command line client, it is displaying all the list of information, that connection ID and copyrights information and affiliates information and helping information. So these are all the information. It is showing that after opening the command line client. After opening the command line client. So after opening this one, you are having some list of important commands to type or commands to know on the MySQL command line client. So what are those? Show database. Regarding the database, you can create the database, you can drop the database, you can show the list of databases, and you can use the database. Regarding the database, you can have these four are very important. So creating the database, dropping the database, use the database, and a list of databases available in the MySQL Community Monitor. So after utilizing any of the database, creating the table is important, and show the list of tables is important, and show the displaying information of table. That is nothing but describe or description of the table. DESC space table name and like the way you can type. So description of table name, and to display the contents of the table, select star from table name. So there is nothing but to show the list of records that available in the table is nothing but select star from table name. So to see the list of records, see the list of contents or records available in the table is going to be showing the select command. So these are all the very important commands to know such a database operations, such a database table operations and anything. So these are all very important commands. And last, the purpose of the database. Purpose of the database. So why we are going to use this database actually? So to do not having the duplicate formats, to do not having the inconsistency, to do not having the difficulty of accessing the files, to do not having the data separate data isolation, and to overcome the integrity problems, to doing such atomicity of updates, and to doing concurrent access anomalies. For this all the purposes, we are going to study the database systems. We are going to study the database systems. This is the way you can understand all the purpose of the database systems. Thank you all.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.